Hey guys, and welcome to some glorious competitive multiplayer stuffs. We have Enticity up against IcePower in a best of 7, and yes, we're all on the new DLC. I'm sure these guys have been working, scheming on some new tactics with the new factions. Of course, I'm not going to force them to play them, but there are changes across the board to pretty much every faction, so it'd be good to see what all of those are. Hey. Who's picking first? So, Ent to pick first. Maps are Iron Sand, Prague, Troll Country, hopefully this will all fit in, Outdorf, Schwarzenhafen, River Amaxon, and Bokenhammer. Awesome stuff. Cool. We are playing as well on Fruit Rules. They are designed by Enticity, so we're going to be checking them out today. But man, I'm just so excited the embargo's lifted and I can actually share this stuff with you guys. It has been a painful week and a half where I just haven't been able to stream or really release that much content because I've been on a different patch, so I haven't been able to play against anyone. I haven't been able to stream because again I'm on a different patch. I wasn't allowed to show anything. But here we are, I'm very excited to get into this, and I think these guys will be bringing a lot of Beastmen and Lizardmen action, showing off a lot of the new units and tactics. There's quite a few stuff so far from the Beastmen, have certainly been improved quite massively, actually, in this DLC. And the Lizardmen certainly have got a even more versatile, and that was already one of the Lizardmen's strengths that they could bring to the forefront. Quack, quack, what's up, Cadane? Ian, Quasar Jake, Tyler, Jason, Grimdelwald, Biblinton, the man, the myth, the legend. Hope you guys are all good today. Yes, quack indeed. Man, I'm so excited. I've got a lot of content coming out for you guys over the next couple of days. Basically all the way up till DLC releases, you're going to be seeing pretty much just DLC early access stuff, which will be quite cool fun. I'm also going to do some unit testing videos as well as the standard battles, but trying to keep up with the battles as well. And it looks like you guys have been enjoying them so far. Feel free to ask me questions. I think I'm pretty much allowed to say anything now. I've only had the DLC a very short duration though, so I haven't tested out every single faction and stuff, but I might be able to answer the majority of your questions, hopefully. Enticity is going Empire, and figuring out who to ban. Ooh, we could straight out of the gate, maybe get Beastmen up against Empire. I could see that happening here. You think High Elves need a buff? High Elves definitely need a buff. High Elves are pretty bad right now. Yo, what's up, Apex Sheep? The apex predator of all sheep. Man, that'd be a scary sight for sure. Seeing a sheep, strapped with guns and stuff. But yeah, I think High Elves are pretty bad. I don't think High Elves got, that many massive buffs. A few changes to the rules might help them. Did they get buffed? I don't think so. At least not to my knowledge did they get a massive buff or anything like that. But I'm sure they will get that kind of stuff in the future. So, he's banning Lizardmen and banning Bretonnia. So, unfortunately, we're not going to see any of the new factions in work in Battle 1, but we are going to see Dwarfs, who have been, after Lizardmen and Beastmen, the most changed faction, and then it's probably Greenskins after that, with a few nerfs across the board. Though they are still very powerful, they've most stuff's gone up slightly in price, and a few changes here and there. Dwarfs, of course, do have Thoric Ironbrow coming in as a new legendary lord for them, as well as the Master Engineer, who I think is going to be absolutely pivotal in a lot of matchups, because Grumbledore, he's lost his smoke bomb, he's put it down somewhere, can't find it. Luckily for him, his bros, the Master Engineers, have picked them up, and you now target units with them rather than around yourself, and whichever unit you hit, their effect will appear around that unit, which is quite useful, but also sometimes a bit more tricky to pull off sometimes, for sure. I have not used the Cauldron of Blood this patch, no. I'm afraid not. Why? Well, the problem High Elves aren't great at the moment is they don't really have any good anti-large tools at their disposal. And you may be thinking, Duck, you're insane. We have archers We have pikemen, all this kind of glorious stuff. The problem is they got no mass, so Lizardmen, for example, you just walk straight through High Elves and kill all of their archers. They're also a very squishy, expensive faction, so Spirit Leech spell, Skirmish, all kind of wears them down way more than it does other factions, but it's particularly Magic. Magic is so brutal up against Elves. They're all really tightly packed formations, burning heads, fireballs, pendulums can cause absolute havoc, and you can Spirit Leech all their characters to death. They're still good, don't get me wrong, they can be competitive, but they're on the weaker end at the moment, I think. Most assume it's Apex Legends. I was like maybe considering it was an Apex Legends, but I thought I'd go with the more glorious Apex sheep, the deadliest sheep of them all. Dwarfs' Empire is generally considered a bad matchup for Empire. Intensity, though, is a top-tier player, so is IcePower, so it's exciting to see how these guys play this matchup. Do you go for the Empire Rush, or do you try to just outshoot the Dwarfs? I think handgunners are pretty key here for the Empire, but they can be focused down by Rangers, Bugman Rangers, and Quarrelers, which can cause them all kinds of problems. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch, for sure. 100% for sure. But yeah, I hope you guys are going to be excited for the Science and the Fury. It's bucket tons of fun. Like a bucket tons of fun. If it's not anything else, it is hugely fun. Some of the new units, they mix up the meta and match up so much. Beastmen against vampire counts, you could never play that before because it was so boring on the Beastmen half, you just kind of lost. Now, like, I'd say maybe it's even Beastmen favoured because they've got so many more new tools to play with. It's going to take a while, of course, before the meta settles down and we can kind of figure out what's what, but honestly, Beastmen are looking pretty good now. Are Tuskgor Chariot mounts banned? Not at the moment. So, I saw Turin's video. They are still very powerful, though that, I believe, has actually been changed slightly, because that does not happen anymore. If you charge... so if anyone doesn't know, Tuskgor Chariots with a Walker on were beating Blood Knights one-on-one, which they certainly shouldn't do. They do not win that anymore. Me and Ice tested it yesterday, so I don't know if CA have already made changes. But they do get the Blood Knights down to about half health, and that's because I think their splash attacks are doing full damage when they shouldn't be. But I think they're still fine. If these guys want to ban them, that's okay as well. They are very powerful at the moment, but they're not as bad as a lot of videos would suggest because they have been changed since then, I believe. But anyway, on to the battle. So Intensity is going rather wide. We have Great Swords and Empire Knights on the flanks, in fact. But for the most part, it is going to be gun and bow heaven. We have crossbowmen. Interesting choice. So a load of handgunners and a load of crossbowmen. Crossbowmen are something you don't see terribly often, but they have good range. They have pretty decent armor piercing, I would think. Armor piercing 6, it's okay. Very good at killing slayers as well. We have a Bright Wizard with Burning Head and Fireball, and Boris Toddbringer up in the skies. A risky pick, perhaps, but at the same time, he does regenerate, I believe, when in combat, right? And he regenerates all the time with the Midland Runefang, which is very useful, and he can, of course, cycle charge enemy characters to death in the late game. I think he can actually be quite meta here. I mean, Volkmar as well can be very powerful in this matchup, believe it or not, despite the magic damage. For the forces of IcePower, we have Miners of Blast and Chariots dotted all the way along, backed up by a bucket ton of Quarrelers. So a load of Quarrelers, but they may struggle here. There's a lot of Empire range. Luckily, there are 2 Thunderers here to support them, which certainly should help out quite a bit. Dragonback Slayers, as well as a load of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, so a relatively cheap and cheerful army, going pretty wide and very gun-heavy on both sides. We do have a Runesmith, so coming in with the new runes, and it looks like he's just bringing the Rune of Speed. Very interested to see him not bring the Rune of Slowness, but Rune of Speed is Air of Effect, so you can really buff up your troops. It's kind of hilarious with Thoric Ironbrow. You can pop a map-wide buff, which gives plus 24 melee attack, then stack it with Rune of Speed, and Hammers just become Gods of War. Iron Fist is probably going to be the new Meta Lord if you do not bring Thoric, now that Grombrindle has been nerfed with the loss of his Flash Bomb. But Ungrim is whirling that axe around, and he will certainly deal with Boris, if of course he can catch him. And that's a problem. No Master Engineers from IcePower. I'm pretty surprised. I'd have expected at least 1 here. The ammo replenishment thing is nowhere near as bad as people thought it was going to be. Everyone's like, oh, you can give so much ammo to all these troops and they're going to be invincible. Maybe with gyro bombers it'd be quite nice, but everywhere else it's a decent tool, but it's certainly not OP or anything like that. Empire are going to be kiting back as quickly as possible. Empire Knights are pushing up now, and this is going to be a relatively scary fight, although Boris is getting laced right now by double Thunderers, taking huge damage. Now, of course, he does have regeneration, but he's going to hit that healing cap really quickly if he keeps this up. crossbowmen and handgunners do turn to shoot on the miners with blasting charges, doing some nice work, but the handgunners themselves taking quite a lot of poke damage from the quarrelers. And the Empire need to be careful. Like, they've only got, what, 1, 2... Is there a third? 3 units of greatswords. That's not going to be enough to kill up dwarven infantry if they try to cut them all day and don't get in there and do a little bit of damage beforehand, because dwarves are pretty damn resolute and sturdy. Miners with blasting charges are trying to push out to the crossbowmen. This is a perfect opportunity for Boris, though, to jump upon them where possible. Blasting charges have been duped as well by the crossbowmen. Miners just eating shots at the moment. Good luck, have fun, which is always good to see. Boris is going to defeat these overextended miners with blasting charges. And yeah, this is a bit of a misplay by Ice. These guys need to stay as tight as possible right now. I do like him pushing out in multiple directions. It can work, but you need to push with a squad, right? You can't push out on your own like this, because you will be picked apart by Empire Knights, Boris, and other such units. And this is probably the best way that Empire can play this, but honestly, they are fleeing for their lives right now. They're going to get pushed right into the corners quite quickly, and this isn't the largest map in the world. Miners with blasting charges will be hunting down handgunners, who are starting to take a pretty big damage from the quarrelers, but the miners are starting to be finished off, which is bad news for IcePower, because these guys and their blasting charges are pretty heavily needed to deal with those greatswords. Crossbowmen take some shots, but Empire Knights will gobble up those dwarvish folk. And you can see the Empire being pushed into 2 corners here. They're certainly running out of room. This micro is going to be very tough, though, on both players, as they're basically fighting 2 wars at the same time. Blasting charges being used on Empire Knights. A little tiny slip up from Enticity, which you don't see terribly often, with the Knights being caught by the Longbeards with great weapons. With their mighty axes will easily deal with these Empire Knights. You can see Dwarf War as well, getting in there and giving the business to the man-lane counterparts. Quarrels and Thunderers all very healthy, taking down Boris once more, finish off the mobility of the Empire force. Might not be the worst situation here either. We do see a rune of speed go down, so these miners and Longbeards are certainly going to pick up the pace now. They're up to 38 speed, which isn't too shabby. In fact, they're faster now than the handgunners. That rune of speed is going to allow them to catch these handgunners so close to the board edge as well, they're basically a guaranteed death there. Boris is trying to assassinate that runesmith and hop in the back on top of all these thunderers, but he is now surrounded by dragonback slayers. We're seeing a lovely, beautifully cast burning head by Enticity going down the line on these quarrelers, really roasting them quite badly. But Boris, yeah, you're messing in the wrong town, buddy. You're getting absolutely slapped. Luckily for him, he breaks, and that's really good news for him, because he's now going to take the quickest route to escape the dragonback slayers. Should be able to get up into the skies, but it is certainly looking dwarf favoured at the moment. Down here, though, handgunners and crossbowmen have made a good stand, and you can see a little step up from Ice. All of his warriors are kind of bunched up on 1 unit of knights. Then you start spreading out and dishing out the damage. Miners with blasting charges may be able to unleash some hell upon these handgunners, but it seems like they're actually wanting to waddle into close combat. Boris will probably come back here, but he is very near his healing cap at the moment. And in the distance, you can see miners have forced off handgunners, and the Empire troops are really just running in all directions at the moment. Very close game. Dwarfs are probably slightly too spread out at the moment. They are catching these great swords, though, doing some good damage with the quarrelers, and the thunderers are still relatively healthy, which is pretty big news here. Because Boris, yeah, he can heal up again, but he's going to be about half health at best, and that could cause him all kinds of problems here. Ungrim desperately trying to chase those great swords around the map. Dwarfs are holding the line here. Handgunners and archers, though, are trading pretty effectively into the quarrelers. Dwarf warriors need to pull back nice and tight to these ranged troops, allow them to dish out the damage to the Empire forces, and they need to focus down these handgunners, because Boris is probably going to fly over. Dwarfs definitely won that left-hand side. Balance power is slightly in their favour as well. Great swords taking a bit of a pounding. Dragonback slayers should catch the crossbowmen and finish them off. Let's check. 40 speed versus 33. Yeah, those are some dead crossbowmen in a few seconds. That rune of speed was a really nice trap on the right-hand flank. We do have some great weapons trying to chase down the crossbowmen. And cavalry, by the way, fares a lot better in this DLC than it did in the last patch. It still does take a lot of damage if you get countercharged by great weapons, but they dish a lot of it back as well, so I think it's working far more than as intended. Quarrelers just trying to trade fire for now. They are going to be going down simply because they're not supported enough compared to all the Empire forces that kind of form a blob in this box. Great weapons are trying to fall back, but the dwarfs are in a tricky situation. Do you continue chasing down these troops you can catch, or do you try and form a shield wall once more, which I think maybe would be the better ploy here? Boris, though, is a danger low health-wise, which could cause big problems in the late game for the manlins. Dwarf Warriors are unfortunately going to be going down here. They're going to try and give as much damage as they can before they do bite the bullet. But Great Swords will easily outmatch them, particularly with the support of the Empire Knights, Crossbowmen, Handgunners, and the mighty Boris. But well played by IcePower, playing back these Longbeards, not just sacrificing their lives. Finishing off the troops he can indeed catch. Crossbowmen are done for. It looks like this other unit is now going to get chased down by the Dragonback Slayers, and Ungrim has caught the Great Swords alongside the Runesmith. And yeah, they're going to do okay damage back, but once again they attempt to flee, because Ungrim will bust their bread quite easily, if I'm being honest there. Empire forces are getting shot now. Great Swords are taking some bullets to the flank, which is pretty bad news for them, because even if any bullets that miss might catch a fellow Great Sword, these guys getting close to breaking at the moment. You can see quite a few of them going down. Longbeards are being pulled back here. Dwarf Warriors, though, in the distance are chasing away some Handgunners. Now, Inticity's micro is going to have to be on point here, but I think it is. He's lined up some more Handgunners to crossfire the Dwarf Warriors, which could start causing quite a few problems. What's up, Cat Morgan? How's it going? Quack, quack. Quack, quack. Definitely Dwarfs. Man, this is a pretty close game at the moment, honestly. Like, there's Quarrelers left alive. The double Thunderers is a big problem, but there is 2 units of Great Swords here. And a third. And maybe the Great Swords will be enough to push through. A lot of the Empire Knights are dead, unfortunately. But Enticity doing a good job of just kind of mopping up the outer reaches. Dwarfs really do need to try to stick and fight as one. But all up, guys. Are Tuskgor Chariots banned? No, they're not. What's up for Poland? Yes, yes. Skaven at least have some quick units like Rat Ogres. Oh, for sure. Dwarfs are very slow. You can now get Ogre Mercenaries, but only in custom battle. I may well add them into my tournaments because they're really not that powerful. But given Dwarfs, Mournfang Cavalry could actually help them out a little bit. And they're not like a super powerful unit. They're a pretty fun one, to be honest. Great Swords looking to engage with Dragonback Slayers, going out in a Blaze of Glory is a pretty good move here by Enticity, because they're going to die anyway. IcePower's not having any of it, though, and will pull back his Dragonback Slayers, and the Great Swords may just about break. Probably turn and fight to Dragonbacks now, because you're just taking free damage at this point. Quarrelers will be lining up some shots. We can see the Empire forces that will completely re-swung around, and they're running relatively low on ammo for the crossbowmen. The Gunners are doing a bit better, which is certainly more key here. In the distance, Empire Knights do run down Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, and the Empire's captain, Boris, is now his healing cap at 2,400 HP. He cannot afford, though, to engage with Dragonback Slayers or other such units again. Once again, we see the Rune of Speed going down on the Dragonback Slayers, one of the new runes. Not only does it increase speed, also melee attack by 24, which does mean Dragonback Slayers just rinse whatever they're touching. And it looks like crossbowmen have been dealt with, likewise these Great Swords. Empire probably want to take the fight to this Dowie force as quickly as possible before the rest of these troops can get back. No Slayers to protect this, no Ungrim, no Runesmith. Yeah, this is now the perfect time to attack. Burning Head does catch one unit of Quarrelers. The second one will be able to dodge the worst of the missile pressure. Thunderers could even lace the Bright Wizard here if they really wanted to, but they probably want to try to focus down the Handgunners if at all possible. It looks like the Slayers and these other Dwarf units have been a little idle, need to float back quite quickly now. Quarrelers are going to look to trade fire as effectively as possible into the Handgunners. Good play by IcePower, focusing down that weak unit to try and break it off the field as quickly as possible, stop that damage outpour, and then focus down a different target. And he does that before they even break. He knew they were going to rout, straight away start switching target. I'd mainly focus on the Handgunners because of that AP, and the fact they've got a bit more ammo, I think, than the crossbowmen for the most part. Boris does eat a few shots. He's kind of juking back and forth, dancing in the skies, but you can juke all you want. You will eventually get clobbered a little bit, and Thunderers can be rather nasty in that regard. The Quarrelers doing a decent job right now, out-trading the Handgunners, despite the fact they are very outnumbered at the moment. Ungrim, though, is returning with some Dwarf Warriors as well as the Dragonback Slayers. Both Thunderers are going to be really key, and we have almost a Napoleon Total War style game lining up here, with just 2 bow lines and 2 gun lines obliterating each other from all sides. I find it funny how it's always versus dwarves fights tend to happen all across the map. It is pretty ironic. It's either in one corner or all across the map. Boris is been eating some shots here, down to 1,666 HP. Interesting, needs to be careful with him. Quarrelers continue to fire some shots into the Handgunners, who are falling back and repositioning a little bit. Bright Wizard is now eating some shots themselves. He's really trying to waste the ammunition with these units by darting back and forth, which is a good idea. Likewise, it can cause you big problems. Thunderers are going to dodge the Burning Head here. Handgunners and crossbowmen are moving up, and it looks like the Dwarfs are currently a bit on the back ropes. Balance Power likes them quite a lot due to how healthy Ungrim is, but he'll get slaughtered by this, although the ammunition starting to wane. If he can make sure he doesn't take too much damage, IcePower may be in a decent situation here. Thunderer's trying to ping in the Bright Wizard. Ungrim does chase them. Bright Wizard needs to be careful. That Rune of Speed is certainly no joke, and particularly on someone like Ungrim, who's got 32 speed. You buff him up, he will catch you and kill you. Thunderers look to be turning and engaging, firing into the handgunners, and Dwarfs, they tend to be better shots than manlins. They can really rein in that damage and do some good work. Longbeards with great weapons are starting to fall back a little bit. Boris down to, yeah, 1,600 health. Thunderers are being 2v1'd though, which is a little bit of a shame for them. Likewise on this flank, they're firing into great swords. A lovely fireball is going to come in, but IcePower does manage to dodge the worst of the damage. But it seems like his army is slowly being bled dry. Great swords feeling confident enough now to attack and push their way through. They are taking considerable losses on the approach due to these Thunderers, and the Longbeards will be able to get a counter charge in. Burning Head does come down. Ice made a mistake there. He should have kept pushing with the Longbeards. They actually walked back into the Burning Head there, which isn't good news for them. Thunderers are suffering right now. Both units seem to be broken and going down, and that's just what Enticity wants. It gives Boris Todbringer complete dominance of the battlefield and sky, which is certainly very scary. Ungrim is falling back at the moment, still full health. Balance Power loving the Dwarfs right now. This unit of Thunderers needs to be saved, but with the Bright Wizard nearby and Boris, that's easier said than done. Crossbowmen are out of ammunition. Handgunners are very low. These Cup units have a bit more, which may turn it in their favour. These greatswords really worry me. 85 greatswords here, 56 on this other unit. It's pretty scary stuff. The Dwarfs should be able to save this unit of Thunderers, you would think. Their leadership's high enough, I guess, because Boris is nearby, they're not going to rally, which is odd. I've seen them rally in this type of situation before, so maybe they will. And if that happens, Boris is going to have to really check his backside and make sure he doesn't get chased down. But it looks like the Thunderers are going to be dealt with here. Likewise, the Quarrelers being chased away by the Empire Knights. And Boris, yeah, just sticking high to these Thunderers should be able to force them off the field and get them away as quickly as possible. Runesmith is currently trotting backwards, as well as the remainder of the Dwarf army, just trying to save these units and hunt down the Bright Wizard if possible, but it's going to be a dragged out game still yet, guys. Thunderers are being forced off now. Enticity just making sure he gets rid of all the Dwarf elements possible, and then allow his handgunners to finish off the Longbeards, but there's still some mighty Longbeards and some rather brave Dowie forces. Ungrim can feast happily on a lot of these troops, though the Great Swords could, of course, cause big problems. Empire Knights are running down Quarrelers in the distance. The mighty Boris Todbringer is beating back Thunderers right now, who are really not having a good day whatsoever. These Thunderers are finished for sure. Quarrelers, leadership is -5, so yeah, they're not coming back either. It looks like it is just the melee troops left. We are seeing a Master Rune of Speed overcast, which increases the duration, and these guys now have 38 speed, so quick enough to catch all of these Empire troops. And that will be pretty useful if they can close the distance. But the Empire is simply going to fall back for now. Let the Great Swords kind of swoop in from the flanks. Drownback Slayers as well, of course, will be speed enough to catch a lot of these units. And look at those little Longbeards go. They go brrr as they run forward. But still, they are rather knackered at the moment. And they will catch the handgunners, but it's going to be a slow affair. Runesmith eats a volley to the face from the handgunners, which is certainly very scary. We have more handgunners pushing up on this right-hand side, and they're going to be looking to shoot into the flank of the Dwarf forces. Almost all the Empire forces are in retreat right now. We just have this single handgunner unit shooting into the Dragonback Slayers. Enticity is very good with his micro. He's always ensuring at least one thing is kind of being proactive and attacking, even if it is just a small unit of handgunners. We can then flee in all directions, pull the Dwarves apart, and allow Boris to gobble them up, but it's still very close. I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a trench. Man, this is close. This is a close game for sure. It's been real back and forth. Longbeards are now the focus of attention of the crossbowmen, which is interesting. Not going after those Slayers, but I guess he thinks he can bring down the Slayers just through the mass of troops there. Greatswords are going to have to turn and engage this if they want to protect their troops. Longbeards just don't want that fight though, and they're going to buy time for the Slayers to try to wrap around where possible. But the ammunition will eventually run out from the Empire, but they still have a little bit left to attack. 7 rounds from this unit is actually quite a decent amount. So great swords are connected with here by the longbeards with great weapons. More longbeards as well are going to counter-charge in, and with the support of the runesmith and Ungrim, they may be able to overwhelm the great swords, and this may be their only bet. They're just going to have to absorb the enemy range firepower, which is not something you want to see any day. And that rune of speed would have been really nice right now to actually buff the longbeards, give them better melee attacks, so they out-trade the great swords, because they would end up with better stats than the great swords. It would be amazing. Archers do charge in, they get counter-charged by Dragonback Slayers. This is a good target for them, because they're going to chew through them all very quickly. Bright Wizard may well go down here as well. How many rounds do we have left? Crossbowmen, just the 2 rounds. Handgunners getting very low, but they're trying to rotate round behind the Dwarfs. They're actually struggling to connect here, which is a big problem for them. Boris does jump in, but Ungrim, man, that's so sketchy. Ungrim slapping him, bringing out all the oaths and vows of the Dowie people, and Boris takes about 200 damage there and has to flee, and he doesn't even break the longbeards. A lot of the Empire forces do start running in all directions. Great swords, though, standing firm in the name of Sigma, doing some lovely work. Handgunners unleashing shots into the runesmith, trying to get him off the field as quickly as possible. Dragonback Slayers, still 46 models on them. Man, this is a wild game so far. Balance of power is heavily dwarf favored. Remember, ammunition counts to the balance of power. 7 rounds, 3 rounds, 2 rounds. That is it, and they're out. Great swords are butchered down, not quite to the last man. They're going to flee. They're not quite as stalwart as these longbeards who are fighting much more hardly to the death. It looks like the longbeards did take a lot of the damage there for the characters, which is what I'm assuming the Empire were trying to target down. Empire Knights come in with a charge, as well as the big birdie here, and that's enough to break the longbeards, which is pretty scary. Both units of longbeards actually break from that cycle charge of Boris. Ungrim cannot chase them, so it is just the dwarf characters left and the Dragonback Slayers. Slayers need to be on these handgunners, they really do, and I think the Empire might be in a good position here. It's quite tough. I mean, Ungrim certainly won't go down without a fight. There's almost no point targeting Boris if you are IcePower, though, because he's simply going to fly back up into the sky. We are going to see a rune come down, Master Rune of Speed, which, again, just use that for the extra melee attack. You can see Ungrim is currently up to 89. Get rid of the great swords. You need to kill these guys as quickly as possible, force them off the battlefield, and hope you can absorb the ammunition. But there's quite a few volleys left that could hurt Ungrim quite a bit. If the Rune of Slowness was brought, I think Dwarfs would have won this by now. I mean, with the Rune of Speed as well. It's a very good rune. But they could have slowed Boris down a few times, and he wouldn't have been able to get up into the sky like he's currently doing. 26 Dragonback Slayers is key. They can certainly chase down this unit of healthy handgunners, which I would love to see them whip around, because even Boris can't cycle charge him to death very effectively, because they'll poison him and drag him down. So yeah, pushing around onto the handgunners is a good idea. This unit is going to get its last volley off, however. Ungrim's taking quite a pounding right about now. But, you know, Dwarfs still looking in a relatively solid position. It really is down to this unit of handgunners with 5 ammo left. Can they do enough to beat back the dwarf characters? And the greatswords rally! Just such a problem. These guys need to be killed and shattered, really. Otherwise, they're going to keep coming back, pinning the dwarfs in place, buying time for the handgunners to do their butcher's work. And it looks like finally they are going to break for, I think, the 2nd or 3rd time here. So they should be shattering relatively soon. Ungrim Iron Fist is doing a fantastic job here as well. Balance Power still loves the dwarfs, though they are heavily outnumbered. Dragonback Slayers trying to actually run away from the crossbowmen and the handgunners, allowing their characters instead to do the damage. But to be honest, they're going to have to turn and fight this, I'd assume. You can chase off handgunners and greatswords all you want, but you're never actually really going to be able to catch them super effectively. Crossbowmen break pretty much from that furious charge of Slayers, and look how outnumbered they are, but they're fighting like champs. They're the Jedi in the Colosseum right now, trying their best to drag down these troops. Ungrim, there's a threat of being cycle charged by Boris, but again, it can be pretty scary because Ungrim hits so hard, and it looks like the Slayers are done for. Handgunners gonna try to finish these guys off. We're probably gonna see some juking from the dwarfs, you would assume. Yeah, just bouncing back and forth, trying to avoid shots. But 4 rounds left. Ugh. What do I do with my Enticity? Do I shoot the Runesmith? Do I shoot Ungrim? It's honestly kind of hard to tell, because the Runesmith's given those buffs, which is really scary, particularly on Ungrim. Buffs up his melee attack quite a lot, but Ungrim is unbreakable, so killing him could be quite useful. Looks like he does take quite a few shots to the face there. We do have more dwarves coming back as well. Boris probably wants to go over there and dispatch them as quickly as possible right now. And the greatswords may rally. Crossbowmen have rallied. And it's literally just 23 troops versus 207. But the balance power loves Ungrim. He is a beautiful bearded gentleman, and they know what's up. So Boris is flying up overhead, looking to charge down. And this battle feels like it's gone on for an absolute age. I don't know how long this battle's been going on for. I'm sure someone can time this. But the humans are just kind of kiting at the moment. They're engaged obviously where they need to, with crossbowmen, and they're trying to chase off troops and rally their own troops. Handgunners do unleash another volley into Ungrim, but it's not really going to do... he's down to about half health now. Balance power is creeping quite quickly now back towards the middle. We have 2 volleys left. Ungrim, hide behind those manlins, hide! They line up their shots, bam, they come in. Oh, that's some big burst damage down onto him. He's just been trying to finish off this crossbowman, but once that ammunition is expended... they've still got 2 rounds apparently. Maybe only some of them fired their shots. It's then going to be like balls to the wall, just dwarf characters surrounded by chaff with a cycle charging Boris to try to seal the deal. Looks like these longbeards are going to be getting chased off by the handgunners. Longbeards looking like they probably won't come back and do anything in the battle. Likewise, the great swords and handgunners look pretty much spent at this point, and they're almost certainly never going to actually get back to a battle situation. And it's a long march. Dwarfs chasing Empire. It is what it is. 20 minutes plus, man. This battle has been long. Hopefully we don't get any more Dwarf Empire games. I beg you. I beg you. This is very, very long indeed. I think it is the best way to play it as Empire, though. Go mass range, try and kite the Dwarfs. Because you lose in most other instances. I still think, despite that, it's Dwarf favoured. Oh, and in comes Boris. Baits out an attack there. Handgunners are trying to get up their last shots. But the Dwarfs really want to force off these crossbowmen. That is such a long march. Oh my god. Just shatter crossbowmen, please. Do us all a favour. And shatter. Handgunners and great swords. Again, not going to be coming back, getting pretty close to the edge. And once they do disappear, it's going to be slightly more in favour for the Dwarfs. We do have longbeards with weapons coming back. Ungrim and the Runesmith just going to chase this crossbowman to the edge of the earth. They just don't want 26 more troops. Yeah, they're garbage in melee, but at this point, anything that can hit a dwarf and do damage is a big threat to the Dowie forces here. And these handgunners still just troggling along. Boris vibing at the moment. I don't think he's ever really going to come and try an assassinate attempt. Maybe worth it, a hit and run on the Runesmith. But Ungrim again, in 1 or 2 hits, could cleave Boris asunder, which is nothing, not what we'd like to see. Crossbowmen, going to eventually be getting forced off here. It doesn't know the Empire have any way of really saving them. Handgunners are not catching up quick enough. The crossbowmen don't seem to be making enough distance between them. And Boris, maybe, I mean, I feel like circle charging wouldn't be the worst idea. You hit the Runesmith, you shoot Ungrim with the handgunners, and it maybe saves the crossbowmen. But maybe it's a little bit too risky, who knows. So, how was your day? IcePower finding the humour here. Handgunners have rallied right at the edge of the board, which is pretty surprising. There's only 21 of them. They're probably going to break as soon as they see a dwarf. Or smell the sight of a dwarf. What's up, Venge? Yeah, this is painful. This is painful. Benny Hiller. Man, this battle's been going on for like 5 years right at this point. And the crossbowmen continue to fall back here. Runesmith and Ungrim trying their best to hunt him down. It's been a good game, though. A real top-tier, like, competitive game by both players. The Empire really did manage to split the dwarf forces nicely, but they look pretty doomed in the mid-stage. Anticity's done a good job at bringing this back. Doing pretty good. Good. Weakened 4 times. Yeah. Because that was painful, thank God. They are going to 4 times it. Crossbowmen are going to get chased off. Likewise, the longbeards will be shattered, and then they will come to meet in the final engagement, which will be cycle charging Boris, whilst handgunners shoot, no doubt. And yeah, crossbowmen can be finished off here. I'm surprised the Runesmith's sticking around as long as he has. He must be pretty loyal to Ungrim. I'd be pretty loyal to Ungrim as well if he had a giant axe at my throat, and I couldn't really say no. Which is probably going on with this Runesmith. And by this point, he certainly has his buffs back. So rune of speed will be coming down as soon as these guys go in combat. Empire are vibing at the moment. I don't really know what's going on here. I guess they're repositioning. But he should be moving towards the dwarfs as soon as possible. I guess he's trying to get the high ground. We are playing fruit rules, which are Anticity's rules, so he obviously knows them far better than I do at the moment. And a few of the rules are changed. I do think banner rules are being reworked as well, so I don't know what I'm going to be using for my tournaments just yet. We'll have to wait and see. Anticity is waiting, buying his time, waiting for IcePower to slip up and allow his shots to really come in and do big damage to Ungrim and the Runesmith. But they're just going to be falling back for now and pushing forward the handgunners whilst the other unit tries to get the high ground. But Ungrim and the Runesmith are trying to attack around this right side where possible. They don't want to be bogged in whilst the handgunners shoot them from range. So Runesmith and Ungrim continue to chase. Handgunners are lining up. They're like point blank range now. This is almost impossible to juke, and Ungrim eats such a truckload of damage right there. such a truckload. One volley left. Boris tries to snipe out the runesmith. Now that they're engaged, these handgunners aren't going to have the best time. We are going to see the rune of speed go down, and that's going to enable them to really start butchering these handgunners. Boris comes in, attempting to snipe the runesmith, but he's kind of just juking half-heartedly in, it would seem. The handgunners are now out of ammunition, and he's going to have to try to get down there and do the dirty. Ungrim stands on his feet. He has the Master Rune of Speed popped. Hits Boris for massive damage, down to just 1,000 HP. Ungrim, a swirl of his axe, does push Boris back nearly to the breaking point. He needs the support here, though, of this runesmith. Both handguns starting to break. A thunderous charge takes a chunk out of Ungrim, but he stands firm. He's facing the wrong way. Come on, get one big hit in. Boris down to 96 HP. The dwarf warriors amongst you. Lift up a Bugman's. We did it. We survived that battle. And it was victorious. My god, I hope I never cast a battle like that again. But at the same time, it was kind of amazing. That was an absolute slogfest. Enticity tried his best in a tough matchup. Crossbowmen across the board, or handgunners, sorry, getting good damage value. 1.3k, 700, 1.2, 900. The crossbowmen fared worse. Quite a bit worse. Some of them not really paying themselves at all. Others doing pretty good. Great swords really did struggle, however. And Boris 1.3k. As for IcePower, Ungrim the Iron Fist, I think will be one of the meta lords now for dwarves, probably one of the two. 1,000 damage value is quite nice, and his damage really is just massively spread out across his forces. Dramback Slayers though, 2,590, excellent work by them here. Quarrelers didn't do too good. The Thunderers have a 1.6 and 1.5 damage value, is very impressive stuff. GG, well played. That was insane, fun Empire build, man. That was wild. That was very, very wild. So up next, we are on Prague. So yeah, buckle up, boys. It's going to be a long stream, most likely. Rubik's Raptor! The man, the myth, the Raptor legend, how are you? I managed to eat my entire lunch throughout the duration of that battle. Wacky first match. Yeah, that was long. Finally, GG. Ungrim's been meta for ages. I mean, maybe. A lot of dwarf mains kept telling me that to take him instead of Grombrindle. I still think Grombrindle was probably better because of Flash Bomb, honestly. But Ungrim is very good. Yeah, I did, CJ. You wanted me to test some units out for you? We can do that at some point on the live stream. I'll do some unit tests in live streams. Jeebus, I just got here. What is that Empire build? It is an Empire build which made the game gone for about 30 minutes, but it was just mass handgunners, mass crossbowmen, and a few basic troops. In terms of duration, distance, cover, and micro ability, that was one of the most astounding games I've ever seen. 100%. Quack, what's up, Grell? B Master as well. Nice to see you. Prague is next map. So let's update the scoreboard. Ice is taking that first one 1-0. This is a best of 7, however, and these guys are pretty damn evenly matched, particularly you can see from the first game there. So there is a pretty good chance here that this will be going all the way, or at least to multiple games, which I would like to see. Hope you're well. Didn't want to interrupt. No, man, good to see you, dude. Drauga, how's it going? Woo, not playing Dark Elves, but Dark Elf players. Yeah, so Enticity used to be a dwarf main as well, and with the change to dwarfs, it could be quite cool if you showcase them as well. Obviously, we will get some Beastmen in action, I'm sure, in just a little bit, but I hope you guys like the background as well. This new background is definitely my favourite. I wasn't the biggest fan of the last one, so I haven't been using it. But this one, like the Ricard one, I wasn't a huge fan of. This one's really cool with the old chameleon skinks, and their eyes kind of glow up. I might try and get it as wallpaper as well for my PC. How good are the new chameleon stalkers? Honestly, Lightning, it's tough to tell. Oh, Jonathan, yeah, Turnsville is actually a bit old. Tuskgor chariots don't work like that anymore. They're still very powerful and a bit too powerful, but they lose to Blood Knights. Yeah, that video, I think is before CA changed some stuff. Chameleon stalkers, they're so weird. They're so weird. I think there are going to be applications for them, but they're going to be pretty hard to use, and they're going to be a bit weird. The precursor shot fins is very strange. They kind of shoot on the attack to people. I mean, it's quite hard to use both the ammunition. They do big blast damage, kind of like minus a blasting charges onto lightly armored forces, and they're okay as well at tying down single entities with them, but I don't think they often pay for themselves, is the problem. Yeah, Enticity used to be a Dowie VP main. Yeah, I think I said he didn't want to use them. So we're going Dark Elves versus Bretonnia, which is going to be good to see. If you cycle charge with the Stalkers, they can take more of the champs. I mean, yeah, maybe, but like, for the amount of micro intensity you have to use Stalkers and stuff, I don't think they're going to be the best unit. They're probably one of the weaker units from the DLC, to be honest, that we're going to see the least. Again, at very top tier player levels, maybe you can make them work, but you can kind of make most units work, realistically. I think the Arc of Sotek's considerably better now, as well, which is kind of cool. Yeah, you have to kind of like charge them in and then run them back, so they use up all their ammunition, which is weird. Yeah, they'll certainly be good in certain matchups, like very lightly armored troops. I just really don't think they're going to be meta. But again, I've only had this for like a couple of days now. I've only played 1 or 2 players, so it is hard to tell at the moment for sure. For sure. So hopefully they'll be good. Hopefully they will. Some of the biggest winners are Tuskgor Chariot, the unit, not the hero. Yeah, Chameleon Skink's poison got nerfed across the board, and Chameleon Skink's got a points increase. So I think we'll be seeing Skink skirmishers a lot more. A lot more. I also think Bretonnia's been nerfed slightly because poison's been nerfed to peasant archers. They're still going to be very powerful, but it's just, you know, slightly less powerful. Yeah, the DLC is pretty cool, not gonna lie. There's a lot of cool units. Yeah, I mean, I think Enticity was saying that he was going to bring an Arc of Sotek at one point. So I'm sure when he goes Lizardmen, we'll get to see one in display. But if not, I'll show you one at the end. And see it doing its glorious work. I think it's going to be very good now at clearing out chaff, which is what it's meant to do. So I think it'll be very powerful versus VP. I think VP are actually some of the biggest... Oh, not VP, sorry, Vimper counts. I think counts are one of the biggest losers of the patch. Because air effect spells are so much better now. And that just causes them all kinds of problems. Beastmen are really good against VC now. I'd argue it's actually slightly Beastmen favoured. But again, people haven't become accustomed to any of the new stuff. Don't know how to counter it yet. A lot of stuff seems awesome to start with. And then, you know, a couple of weeks in, we're like, oh, actually, we can kill these things quite easily. The Gorgons are fine. Like, they fall over a little bit, but man, those things shred. The Regiment Renown is going to be a very common pick, I think. Against factions which don't have heavy range. It does suffer from range, of course. Yeah, so I don't know too much about the changes to Arc. I think his poison ability is just much better now. Because it has the same situation where normally a unit had to be 50% within the radius of whatever spell it was. So Flock of Doom, Arc of Sotek, any of that type of stuff. Now it doesn't have to be 50% in, just one model has to be in and it affects the whole unit. And I think the Arc works in the same way. Anyway, for the forces of Enticity, on the back foot here up against IcePower, bringing in his Bretonnian boys, we have triple mounted yeoman archers, a load of peasant mobs, double peasant bowmen, as well as 2 questing knights, knights errant, questing knights, and some more questing knights. For Enchantress, I believe there was talk of her being nerfed. I haven't seen it myself yet, but someone was telling me her Mortis Engine effect does less damage now or something. But I don't know how to actually physically check that, so I'll have to see how she performs. She has Awakening Wood and Earthblood, and up in the sky we have Double Paladin on some glorious Pegasuses. Or Pegasi, I'm going to say. For the forces of the Dark Elves, IcePower going in his traditional format. By the way, look at these cool new card titles they got for a lot of the monsters. They're actually really cool. They got new ones for Manticores and a lot of the Lizardmen dinosaurs as well. So double Pharaoh Manticore with Marathi in the sky. Soul Sealer, because of what I just spoke about, Flock of Doom and Arc of Sotek, is even better now. Marathi is probably a must-pick in almost every matchup now for Dark Elves, bar 1 or 2. Bleak Swords do make up the front line, with Dread Spears on the flank, Cold One Knights, Triplet would seem, and Dark Shards in the middle. So a very standard kind of IcePower build. 1 Squad Runner on the right-hand flank as well. Now, IcePower's going to be able to get the upper ground here, make everyone kind of be as proud as possible, and kind of like rotate round to this side, and start driving down the hill. That's certainly something we will probably be seeing here. Bretonnians army moving up with their cavalry, trying to get some free damage value where possible out of the mounted yeoman archers, who I think are pretty powerful now. Squadron chariots will very comfortably out-skirmish them, however. But those trebuchets are going to start wrecking on these Cold War Knights, doing some nice damage to them. Marathi is eating 1 or 2 shots from the yeoman, but she doesn't really care because she can heal up so easily and comfortably. War Grinders may be better now as well, for sure. When will they show patch notes? I do not know. From what I've seen of Gorgons, they're fine. Like, a lot of stuff, I'm on like a later patch, I suppose, than others. Gorgons, they do get staggered quite a bit in the same way Giants get staggered. But yeah, they seem pretty fine to me. Paladins are being hit here by a Soul Stealer. Going to catch up both of them here, of course, doing some lovely damage. And it's going to heal up Marathi quite comfortably. Lovely counterplay then, Earthblood coming in by Enticity. Squadron Chariots are now focusing down Questing Knights, a good target for them. Bleak Swords will certainly be able to catch and mop up these Peasant Bowmen, but Questing Knights will be charging in, catching the Bleak Swords. It's so fun to see Enticity and how he's evolved. As I said before, he used to be a really defensive VP Dowie player, and now he's much more of a skirmish-heavy, skirmish-focused player, but he can certainly do both. Cold Knights are starting to push up here. Bleak Swords do get slaughtered a little bit. Enchantress is having a whale of a time. Bleak Swords are now engaging with peasant mobs. Going to be slicing and dicing them quite comfortably across the board, but in come the Questing Knights to support them, and IcePower's approach here is real kind of staggered, which could cause him big problems. Marathi is going to dart down, attacking the Paladins where possible, doing some lovely damage there, actually connecting quite nicely. She doesn't get up in the sky though, because Questing Knights can be a little teeny bit of a problem for her. Bleak Swords are getting crumped, but in comes the Cold War Knights. We're going to be seeing a fat Soul Stealer come down. Is it going to catch this Paladin? It does! Oh my god, so much damage on that Soul Stealer. But again, Enticity is prepared for this. He's brought Earthblood just for this reason, to try to counter Soul Stealers where possible. Paladins are losing this air engagement though, up against the Manticores. Marathi needs to come over here and support, because the Peasant Bowmen will be able to turn the tide there. A lot of Questing Knights are kind of getting finished off here. Enchantress has been pushed back. Cold War Knights feasting upon the souls of peasants and knights alike at the moment. One Manticore has been rampaged, which is bad news for it, because it may get dragged away if IcePower isn't careful. Very close game again. Dark Elves seem to be slightly in a state of supremacy. Questing Knights getting finished off here once again by a combination of Marathi and Cold War Knights. Down they go. Peasant Bowmen as well seem to be in all kinds of problems. Dark Shards are being able to continuously fire. Big problem here by Ice. He's about to lose a Manticore. It was rampaging, which of course is a big downside to them, and he didn't commit with the second Manticore, meaning the Paladins can simply turn, engage, and look how quickly they dispatch this creature of evil. Doing a good job, but it's taking some damage in return. Squadron Chariots still have good ammunition. You can come over here, do a little bit of poke. Bleak Swords can chase down the Peasant Bowmen. The Trebuchet crews are going to have to drop their machines and run. But the Cold War Knights are really just driving away the enemy, or at all parts of the battlefield, and Marathi is very healthy right now. Fey Enchantress is alive. I personally am a bigger fan. If you've got Fey, I actually like the Paladins being on horseback, but Enticity is a far better player than me, so I don't know. This maybe was to counter Marathi. Maybe that was the idea behind it. We're going to see another Soul Stealer come down, and it is not going to catch... No, it does catch the Paladins! Oh my god, just about as they were leaving the zone. Earthblood is going to heal them up, but they're getting close to their healing cap, which is a little scary. Fey Enchantress cares not, though, for Soul Stealers. She really does not. She has massive magic resistance. Knights Errant are allowed to sneak into the Dark Shard's back line, and we have more Knights returning as well. This could be Enticity coming back into the game a bit, but the Knights, they're forced back. There's just a lot of Elves left on the field to kind of cope with. Maybe the Paladins can carry against Marathi in the last Manticore. Questing Knights are engaging with Dread Spears now, but there's Cold War Knights nearby. One Trebuchet is already shut down. The second one looks like it's about to be overwhelmed, because more Bleak Swords are indeed on their way. Manticore has Rampage. That's really good news for the Bretonnians, because they can try and focus it down, but Marathi's here, lowering all of the stats of these Paladins, and one Paladin has been forced back here, and now it's certainly going to favour the Dark Elves with that Dread Spear unit surrounding. IcePower is coming in hard so far in this best of 7 here up against Enticity. Dark Shards do look like they're going to be running. We are going to see a Doombolt from the sky, I believe. Look at that. Oh my god, that looks absolutely horrible. I've never looked at it in that way before. And IcePower is claiming victory. Jabberslives do magic damage. CJ is the bad thing, but Jabberslives are very good up against VC. Yeah, they're going to be messing against VC with the Gorgon. Well played to these two guys. Enticity, Fey Enchantress not really getting her value to us. 650 damage value, and the Paladin's really struggling. Honestly, across the board, nothing really paid for itself. There was a nice little withdraw and kind of like rearguard action by Enticity, and the Yeoman did really good, but IcePower just kept pushing, took those early losses like a champ. Like, the Bleak Swords just got run over, so did the Dread Spears, but eventually he managed to push through. Marathi, 2.5k damage value is so tasty here. Dark Shard's doing good work, and Cold Knight's 1.2, 1.2, and 400 damage value. Manticore's doing not much at all, 975 on the Scourge Runner Chariots. But again, Manticore's a fast mobile terror. GG, well played, man. The next map is Troll Country. Troll Country is next map. So we're yet to see Beastmen yet. We're yet to see Lizardmen, so hopefully soon they will emerge. Good play by Enticity, but Dark Elves are my weakness, so woo again. Oh, you love the Dark Elves, of course. IcePower playing well. Indeed. Indeed, Petersburg. Hope you're excited for all the new Beastmen stuff, by the way. Being a Beastmen main. Yeah, the Malagor in the sky with double Manticores could be quite common. Honestly, Beastmen v Dwarfs is so hard for Dwarfs now. You get double Manticore in the sky with like 3 Harpies, Tuskgor, Chariots. It gets real messy. Yeah, both still have Lizardmen and Beastmen to pick. Love seeing Cobble Knights do well. IcePower's really good with them. He even can get good value from Dread Knights as well. In a few matchups, mainly against stuff like Lizardmen. Stuff like Lizardmen for sure. Cool, so solid messages on Discord, but I don't think any of them are important just now. Let's update the scoreboard. Mr. IcePower, playing out with skin so far up against a very talented Enticity, is 2-0 up. And it is Ent to pick and ban first. I want to see Beastmen win a free-for-all of a wacky Air Force. Man, I had some fun free-for-alls actually, which I'm probably going to cast. I think Dwarfs casting one of them, so I don't want to double cast. I'm sure he wouldn't mind, but like, I'm going to try and cast one I think he doesn't want to. Beastmen OP! I wish. Beastmen are not OP. They are very powerful though. They've improved massively from what they were, which is good because they've been down the dumps for a long time. I don't know if they'd be S tier. I mean, time will tell with these things. They might get found out a bit, or they might discover new tactics and so forth, but they're definitely going to be up there now, which is good to see. We're going to see them a lot more in tournaments. Entity's going Lizardmen! Yes! We're seeing some of the new dinos. So Ent is going Lizardmen, banning Beastmen, as well as Chaos. Not a bad idea on this map. What am I doing if I'm IcePower here? It's tough to say. Dwarfs, I think, have got a bit of a buff against Lizardmen now. It was a relatively even matchup, maybe even slightly favored to Lizardmen beforehand, in my opinion. But Forik's very good against Dwarfs. No, against Dwarfs, against the Lizardmen. Because he basically takes no damage from Asdamundi as well, which is hilarious. It's hilarious. Honestly, Ice went from underdog to favourite. The greatest training montage must have happened. Dame Offensive, how are you? Quack quack indeed. We're here doing a best of 7. Waiting for these guys to pick and... Oh, they've actually picked and banned already, so Enticity is going to be playing the new Lizardmen. Banning Beastmen and Chaos, and IcePower's contemplating what he's going to do. Lizardmen ban Beastmen now. Oh, honestly, yeah, it's scary. Lizardmen have to kite against Beastmen. You can't do it on this map. How strong is Torox? He's good, man. I got a video coming out in a couple of days, maybe tomorrow, I don't know yet, of some unit testing with him. He destroys foot characters. Like, say bye-bye to Sigurd the Magnificent. Torox will devour him. He's very powerful. Up against all infantry characters, elite infantry he'll slaughter. He will struggle up against like dragons and stuff because they can stagger him, and he's not designed to kill them. It's not kind of his purpose. But if the RNG's in his favour, he can still take them down. So, is he going to be super meta? Not in every single matchup, but he will be seen. He is good. He's definitely better than someone like Nakai, who's a similar style character. Yeah, the Tuskgor chariots run over all the Lizardmen infantry, and then you just use the big Gorgon to like kill all the large dinosaurs. It's possible. The Shroud of Lustro does beat the regiment-renowned Gorgon 1-on-1, but you know, you're never really gonna get that. Just a sec. So Ice is contemplating. Quack quack, Raphael. How are you? Hope you guys are all good. Moo from Jonathan. Hopefully we'll see some moves at some point, but at the moment we're going to be seeing some of the new Dino Boys. Oh yeah. Two of the chariots can kill Allosaurus. They're really quite scary, the Tuskgor chariots. You need cold one riders, I think, to counter Lizardmen now. Oh, no, to counter Beastmen as Lizardmen, to just pin in the chariots and drag them down. But even then, yeah, going full kite's probably the best way of doing it. I don't think you can beat them in a head-on fight like you used to. Any shot Morgul got his quad Gale spawn summon back? I haven't checked it, but I'm almost certain no. Hola, what's up, Conrad? We're just getting underway here, so it is 2-1. No, 2-0. Oh my god, I can't speak today. 2-0 to IcePower so far. And he's picked Tomb Kings. So when these guys are ready to go, we'll hop into the battle and enjoy some good stuff. Is the new Lizardmen Legendary Lord better than the Health Archer Lord and better than the Human Archer Lord? He's definitely better than the Elf one. He's weird. He's very weird. He's got a really cool ability, which I think you should almost always take, which lowers his speed, but gives him Unspottable, and Snipe. He already has Stalk. That makes him very powerful. And he's got damage scaling, so yeah, I'd argue he's better. I don't know if he's going to be better than Marcus Wolfheart, who's also very talented. But he's like a souped-up Skink Chief, very annoying to deal with. But it does mean you're not going to get a Mazdamindi or a Slann, so maybe we won't see him every time in competitive, obviously. Because Mazdamindi is still going to be the best Lizardmen Lord, but he is powerful, and he is very good. And I love him. He is my squishy. He is my skinky. Yeah, Chameleon Stalkers might do really well against Tomb Kings. Interested to see what Enticity goes with. I'm not going to click on their fins, because I don't want to see their builds in case any of these guys accidentally watch or whatever what's going on. Troll Country, though, is not a good map for Tomb Kings historically up against Lizardmen. You can't kite them very effectively with your shop team. No one is better than a high alpha anything, just ask one. I love it. Aliphanar's a really cool character. IcePower's ready to rumble. Just waiting on Enticity here. Just having a little sip of our drink. So we'll just press start bow, so we'll get into this as soon as these guys are away. Oh yeah, you just catching up, Nafis. We've done a couple of games since then, bud, but yeah, that game was grindy. Mazda versus Oracle's just too expensive. Crypto. In campaign, that'd be amazing. Because the Oracle does have Earthblood. It's got a really cool set of spells. It's very expensive, though. It's like 2,500 gold, maybe? Once you get your right spells. Maybe a tiny bit less. So it has to do a lot of damage to pay for itself. But my god, does it assassinate characters. The Troglodons, people haven't covered it as much as I thought they would. Troglodons butcher characters. The Skink Oracle, 2 shots Marathi on foot, to the point where she's broken, and 3 shots it's dead. But that's because the Oracle fires 2 shots instead of 1 from the Troglodon. But I don't know if that's a bug or if it's meant to happen. Chariot Scorpion Rush would be cool on this map. Just trying to run over the skinks. It's not my choice, Mirage. I'm waiting on the players. So I'll start the battle when they're ready, and there is no rush for them to do so. And they can start when they want to. So, it looks like someone is going to get their wish. Let's look through the Lizardmen, because it looks like we have a few new units. And look at these cool cards they have. But yeah, we've got a few new units. So we do have Chameleon Stalkers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've struggled to use them so far, but I haven't faced Tomb Kings or any really lightly armoured factions, so I can see them doing pretty good here. We have Oxyotl as well, leading the line. He is going to be coming in with his little ability, which is Master Predator, increasing that range, giving him Snipe and Spottable, lowering speed and charge bonus though. He does have the Golden Blowpipe with him as well, which can do some nice damage. We have Cohort of Sotek, we have Red Crixus Skinks, who are now cheaper. They have indeed got cheaper, but Frenzy's changed, and so has Poison, so they're cheaper, but they are slightly worse units than they were before. We have an Ark of Sotek, so we do have the Bastillon with Ark of Sotek, interesting to see how he performs here, and we have a Skink Oracle coming with Fireball, Earthblood, as well as Wind Blast, and my god, it does so much disgusting damage on single entities, it's so cool to watch. So yeah, really fun build, very experimental. We actually also have a Feral Carnosaur on the right side. No Regiment Renown though. For the force of Tomb Kings, we have a load of skeleton warriors and spearmen dotted all the way along, with Ark in the Black hiding his little skeleton in the trees here. Spirit Leech and I believe Doom and Darkness, which is quite cool. Load of chariots to run over the enemy, as well as some horsemen. Yeah, 4 chariots throughout. Double Ushopti Great Bows. I don't know if he knew it was Troll Country, but this is a bad map for them. 2 Carrion as well. I mean, it's not the end of the day. You can kite on this map, but it is considerably harder here. Good luck, have fun, they scream. I'm really excited to see these guys in action. Look at them just bound towards the enemy. Boop, 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 boop. There you go, left and right. It's so cool. Very interesting as well to see how the Ark performs. Now, there's not that many single entities, unfortunately, for the Troglodon to focus down. It is 100% best at killing single targets. So, cavalry and so forth, it'll kill models, but nowhere near as effective as it is against killing the single characters. It will eviscerate Ark in a matter of seconds if it gets the right engagement. Chameleon Stalkers, of course, as their name would suggest, do have all those hidden traits. So they are, of course, invisible at the moment, looking to wind up their shots. And Chariots are now running over a lot of the Lizardmen stuff, including the cohort of Sotek. And Oxyotl might not have been spotted here. He is very hard to spot. You have to get pretty close to him. We do have a Skeleton Warrior summon come down on these red-crested skinks here. More red-crested are pushing in from all angles. Chameleon skinks, they haven't really got any shots away yet. Really lovely wind blast does go down on those Skeleton Warriors. Arcosotek is lining up to try and engage with the enemy. Let's see if these chameleons do their little blowpipes on the way in. It's a really weird unit, so they kind of have to be, given attack orders before they shoot. And there we go. So you can see they do massive burst damage. They only have 2 volleys, though, which is kind of scary. And they don't kill that many models. They're all about the HP damage. There's some to the Shopti there as well. Lizardmen, honestly, starting to stall quite badly. Skink Oracle is coming back. A lot of the chariots are going down, but they've kept the Lizardmen at bay for a considerably long time. Chameleon Stalkers, unfortunately, seem to be getting run over quite a bit. Castles having to come back into the middle, and Enticity is really stalled instantly here. Arcosotek, though, up to 14 kills, whipping its tail back and forth on the Skeleton Spearmen, trying to assist the Reckless Skinks where possible, and then it comes in his little poison, doing some okay damage there. Skeleton Chariots have really been the bane here of this Lizardmen force. We're also going to see a big Soul Blight come down. That was the spell, not Doom and Darkness. Carnosaur, though, is healthy, and he will be able to kill an infinite number of chariots, and the Troglodon is hunting down one of the Ushopti in the back, so it's certainly not game over yet by any stretch of the imagination. Oxyotl hasn't been able to get on any key targets, really. You want him assassinating characters. You can see the moment here's like, 700 damage value, I suppose. That's not too bad, actually. Carnosaur is eating and devouring chariots, but the Ushopti being alive right now is so scary. But there you go. Look at that. 1 volley on Archon, and he just takes so much damage from the Skink Oracle. I think it's really going to be one of the MVPs for the Lizardmen in this DLC, if they don't change the fact that it shoots twice, of course. Archon does manage to survive, though, and the Troglodon is forced back, going to be chased off the field by the chariots. IcePower is putting on a masterclass so far. Carnosaurs try to finish off the Ushopti where possible, but there's just so many skeletons left alive, and Chameleon Skinks, the Chameleon Stalkers, sorry, just don't have the staying or killing power of Sora's warriors. And they are a bit cheaper than them, however, so they certainly have their place, but, you know, they're not really fared too well up against mass skeleton chariots. Oxyotl has now finally been spotted and is getting run over quite unceremoniously, and it is looking really bad. Soul Blight gone down, the Carnosaur is going to allow Spearmen and Swordsmen to drag down the beast, and the Lizardmen doth fall. Sad day for my Dino boys, though. Sad day indeed. I think the Chariots just really caught Anticity's build off guard, because they were good against 90% of this. Oxyotl, only 843 damage value here. 1.4 on the Skink Oracle, despite it getting focused down, is some pretty good work, but again, it is very expensive. Red Crest just didn't pave themselves. The Stalkers got some better damage value across the board, but again, just Chariots really did render this build kind of useless, I'm afraid. IcePower, Ark in the Black, 725 damage value. Spearmen, of course, did nothing, but Chariots, 672, 600, 800, 800, and yeah, not too bad whatsoever. Ushopti, 1.1 and 1.2k, paying for themselves, proving me wrong. GG, yeah, Stalkers feel really weak, unfortunately. They do a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how they kind of change and develop. Magnificent Tomb King play. That was top-notch. That was top-notch for sure. Yeah, no, Felix, the Ark is actually buffed now. It's, Poison, I think, does a lot more, so I don't mind it against Tomb Kings here. because it would clear out their chaff. But yeah, he just couldn't deal with that many chariots, I'm afraid. Standard chameleons are probably better, but standard chameleons might not get picked that often anymore. I don't know. They've had a points increase, and poison's been made weaker. So skink skirmishers all of a sudden look way more tasty. And they've been a good unit for a long time anyway. They're just overshadowed. Oh, yeah, like a Rev Crystal combined with a Lizardmen Oracle could work. Look how they massacre my boy. Chariots seem a little better now. Yeah, chariots, I think, across the board have been improved. Yeah, I think chariots are considerably better than they once were, particularly the Beastmen ones. So, 3-0 so far. This could be the end of Enticity right here. It is a best of 7, of course, but at the same time, a reverse sweep certainly isn't off the cards. Enticity is a very talented player. Yeah. Let's pop it back and back for them, and hopefully that'll fix it for them. So we've seen some Lizardmen. Will IcePower pick Beastmen? We'll have to see. What's up, Dutch Flavor? How are you? Yeah, some carried in there, even cold ones, just the feral ones, just to pin the chariots in would have been nice. I believe Rev Crystal is the same. Yeah, I believe he is the same. Trollodon, yeah, probably quite good at sniping chariots. But it really is like, it's going to do damage to one model. So if you shoot it into infantry, it will get no value, because it's just going to kill like 1 or 2 models at a time, which really isn't what you want. But you can see those few shots into Archon. It is scary, man. It is scary. I've got a video of it. In 2 volleys, Marathi was broken and running for her life. And in 3 shots, she's dead. So it can be very powerful. It's meant to be anti-large, but any single entity, the Trollodon will slaughter it in seconds. I have a cool video coming out tomorrow, actually, where one meets Karl Franz, and you can see what happens. It's really cool. You can also hide Troglodons underneath the Quattle, which is really cool. But we'll let these guys sort out their picks and bans. Ah, some glorious water right there. Yeah, well, Troglodons are basically Carnosaurs without Frenzy and without anti-large, but they get the range attack. Just vibing, can't wait to see chariots. Hopefully we see some Beastmen chariots. Hopefully. IcePower going Empire, banning Dwarfs and VC. No Beastmen? Might ask these guys to do a showcase game after of Beastmen v Lizards if they're down, if we don't get to see all the new stuff. Do like a little expedition fight. It'd be a shame not to show off the Beastmen as well, because they're really good now. Which is fun to see. Because for quite some time they've been, you know, pretty poor is the best way to put it. Enticity is going Beastmen. Okay, we are going to be getting some happy moves here. Seeing some Beastmen in action. I think these guys are going to be deciding though whether or not they want to keep in the chariots, which are slightly bugged at the moment. Though not as bugged as they look, but yeah. I won't use anything you don't want me to. Cool. So it looks like they're sorting it out between themselves. Yeah, regular Tuskgors are very good. They're probably the best unit from the DLC. Yeah, the giant flying snake, like, protecting units is so funny. It's hilarious. I keep putting skink skirmishes underneath it, and then people rush towards it with a load of skirmish cav, looking to kill whatever big monster I have hidden underneath there, and then you just shoot back with a load of blow darts. It's, you can bring some really funny stuff. Cool. Cool, cool. Looks like we're not going to be seeing any single entity chariots today. If you guys are enjoying, by the way, feel free to drop a little thumbs up and subscribe for more beautiful, glorious Total Warhammer action into the future. Try this match up before stream. Could not get an Empire win. Be good to see how Ice goes about it. Well, yeah, this is with the Beastmen now have all the new tools as well. One way Empire really can counter Beastmen with this is just mass Outriders, mass Pistoliers, and you shoot the big new creatures. It's scary. Yeah, we can do some Wargore testing maybe after the games on the Tuskgor. It's not as broken as it was, but it's still pretty broken. Okay, I can't see any ones. How about multi-entities? Yeah, multi-entities are fine. Yeah, they're strong, but they're not like bro kind of thing. I'll have to say, that is very cheap chariots, and cheap chariots can often cause lots of pain. Lots of pain. Yeah, exactly, and then you hide Red Saurian. Yeah, they've already nerfed it to a point. I saw Churn's video where the Wargore and chariots were beating Blood Knights. That doesn't happen anymore. Like, Blood Knights do win the fight, but they do go down to about half health, which is probably still too much. For sure. Apologies for that, something in my throat. But yeah, they can be a little scary still. Oh, apologies. Let me double check my Discord. Looks like we're all good. Cool. Yeah, I'm probably going to do a video on the Regiment Renowned Gorgon facing other single entity monsters. I've already done one on Taurux, it's just not up on the channel yet. But I will probably be testing them, Troglodons and stuff, all before the release of the DLC. Ah, my voice is dying. Oh yeah, Quattles is definitely one of the coolest concepts they have. It is very gimmicky. I don't think it's necessarily super competitive, but it's better than I thought it was going to be, honestly. It really can catch your opponent off guard. I used it to get Stegodons into a defensive Dowie lineup as well, which is always good fun. And they're pretty... People were saying, like, oh, you just shoot the giant flying snake instead. It's relatively quick at turn-in, so you can kind of dodge cannon fire pretty well. Pretty good. Greenskins... I haven't tested their new chariots yet. All of their skirmish cav has gone up in price. By a small amount, only like 25 to 50 gold. But that really does add up over the course of a battle and stops you taking so many. Vindictive Glare has been slightly nerfed. Grom the Paunch, I believe, has been slightly nerfed. War itself has been slightly nerfed. And Fanatics have been nerfed. So I believe they have to be in combat for 15 seconds before they can use their Fanatics now, which is massive. Because cavalry can now cycle charge them. They can't just instantly get a load of value and slaughter the enemy. Yeah, honestly, a lot of the new models are really cool. I'm expecting a lot of Outriders here as well. Yeah, Quattro with Gyro builds could be hilarious. Now, it doesn't give you snipe. So if you shoot underneath it, you will be revealed. So it looks like we are seeing some new units from Enticity here. So we'll go through his Beastmen first. The front line is going to be the mighty Ungor Spearheads. And just dotted all the way along. And honestly, cheap Beastmen infantry is going to be even more meta than it currently is. There's not much point taking Bestigals and other such units, because your big heavy hitters dish that damage out. We do have the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run. So this is a new Regiment of Renown unit. If I can catch them wherever they're going. Where are they gone? Over here. Which is a Skirmish Cavalry Thronax unit with a really cool colour scheme. Look at these like little markings they have on them. They have poison attacks and regen. Yes, they have regeneration, which is very quite nice because of Drunken Bravado. We do have some Chaos Warhounds with poison as well, helping protect them. We have Sons of Goros, as well as more Centaurs dotted along the line. We do have Tuskgor Chariots, and these are the probably the most powerful unit, I would say, so far from the DLC. Again, this is pre-release, so they may get changed and altered, but for their costs, they seem to be pretty damn good. We do have a Jabberlife as well, the beast of mythical legend, and definitely the darkest horrors of nightmares. Comes in pretty useful. It has Aura of Madness, which is a nice drain effect to everything around it, below 50% leadership, and it spurts Bile Blood, doing decent poison damage to those around. We also have Malagor the Dark Omen up in the sky. He does now fly. This is the only way he can come. He is the fastest unit in the game, I believe, with 121 speed, coming in with Savage Dominion as well as Pendulum. Some really cool stuff. The Empire build, we won't go over as much, obviously, because we've seen the Empire before. Swordsmen and Unbreakable Lunatics in the front line. Spearmen guarding the flanks and rear. Triple handgunners in the central pocket, as well as 4 units of Empire Knights. And this is a very kind of a similar way I think Ice plays up against Greenskins. We have a Bright Wizard with Burning Head, we have a Deathcaster with Spirit Leech, and we have Volkmar the Grim. Now, Spirit Leeches are going to be really good up against Malagor, because he is still super squishy. Volkmar is going to be very good here as well. There is no gigantic Gorgon to drag him down, though the Chariots could certainly push in and deal with the handgunners. Empire Knights are going to be a very good counter to them. IcePower, of course, is on the early access because he was preparing for ECL. So he has done a lot of practice, and he's actually been whooping my butt a bucket ton at the moment in most of my replays coming out, because he's been practicing with all the new stuff quite a bit to figure out the metas and stuff. I don't know if Inticity's been doing the same. I think he maybe has the access because he's a content creator. I'm not actually 100% sure on that one. We're going to see a Pendulum come down on handgunners, well dodged by IcePower, only going to be taking a few tiny bits of damage there. Jabberlife does float into the enemy here. Going to be going after that Deathcaster, maybe looking to try and push into the back line. Tuskgor Chariots are coming up as well, and he's taking quite a pounder now. The Jabberlife does not have regeneration, I don't think, so he can sometimes get a little bit bullied. He's going after all of these Castle Lords at the moment. We do have a Spirit Leech going down as well on these Sons of Goros, which is pretty scary stuff. Chariots definitely need to be more aggressive right now. We have a lovely little flank overload potential down here by the Beastmen. Malagor is going to be flying away. Jabberlife does feast upon some swordsmen, terrifying them away, doing some good work. But the big beastie, I'm not so sure he's going to be that good in this matchup, particularly against up all the handgunners. But he's got some really freaking cool attack animations and actually gets him a fair distance away from those handgunners and into the Empire Knights. This is where he wants to be. You can see that drain effect going down on the Spearmen when they do drop below 50% HP. Tuskgor has been summoned. Tuskgor Chariots are in the back lines as well, trying to run over handgunners where possible. Big Banishment goes down, finishing off the Sons of Goros. And honestly, IcePower's looking so good today. He's looking in absolutely fantastic form. Centaurs and Centaurs of Thronaxes trying to deal with this front line. A lot of Centaurs are pushing around the back. Tuskgor Chariots are going to be running over with a rather weak limp charge there, actually. These guys look like the Muppets, which is really funny. The actual Tuskgors themselves. They do some nice damage on the charge there. Be bouncing around to and fro. Cygor Summon has pushed bounce power in favour here of the Beastmen forces, and there's no way Malagor's being caught here. One unit of handgunners has been dealt with. A big fat Pendulum's coming down the line. Oh no! Oh, that was some good work. I don't think it was overcast though, which is bad news here for Ent. The Chariots unfortunately are broken and forced back, but the Centaurs are still looking pretty strong. Centaurs of Thronaxes do get hit by a Spirit Leech, however. Malagor's just swooping through the sky like he's Superman, having a good day. Hunting down handgunners and just having a whale of a time. Centaurs of Thronaxes have managed to pull back here. The Jabberlife is still alive, but it's taken so much punishment from range threats. Despite that, it's still got 50 kills, not much damage value. It is a good unit, very good at blobbing, but this matchup, with so many handguns, I think it's a big risk. But again, in the late game is where it really shines, because all these units now are below half health, or half morale, I should say, so they're going to start getting drained, which is really bad news. And the Beastmen still getting relatively strong at the moment. Malagor has managed to hunt down some handgunners, but we do have some Ungor herds who again run over in the back by Empire Knights. Tuskgor Chariots are needed to shut down a lot of this infantry, but they can certainly do the job there. Jabberlife does unfortunately get hit by a Spirit Leech, so it may be saying the end of him soon, but he's draining all these troops, and in that short duration, I'm sure, yeah, he's just starting to rack up more and more damage and value. Empire Knights have been dealt with, Warhounds are falling back, Centaurs being aided here by the Thrown Axe variety as well. Tuskgor Chariots have managed to break some handgunners with the help of Malagor. When Malagor lands, he goes back to his basic speed, which is really quite odd. He's got some really cool swooping animations though when he comes down onto the ground. Like, yeah, flips out his wings. Yeah, that's some gangster stuff right there. Tuskgor chariots are going to be used to run over the swordsmen, doing some good work here, just feasting upon the souls of those Empire troops. But the men of the Empire have a lot more forces left alive than the Beastmen. Some of their Sentinels and Thrown Axes were allowed to be caught there by Empire Knights, which is really bad news. Jebus still going relatively okay. Now, of course, it's not going to be as good against Unbreakable troops, because that drain effect's not going to work on these guys. The Empire Knights are unfortunately themselves getting drained. You can see their health just ticking down now as they move into engage with the Jebus. There are still Sentinels and Thrown Axes doing some nice work. Enticity is scrapping, but there's just so many Empire forces left on the battlefield. One of these guys called the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run, rear attacking the Spearmen here, doing some pretty decent work. These guys up to about 800 damage value, and they haven't really had the best targets, but these Spearmen are surrounded and forced off the battlefield at the moment. We definitely need to see a second Tuskgor summon at some point, but Volkmar the Grim is just so powerful at dealing with a lot of the Beastmen stuff. I don't think they're going to stand a chance here. Jebus is falling back. He's doing his glorious little wobbly animations as he goes away. The poison's quite useful, and magic attacks also makes him quite nice and niche. And he's up to 91 kills now, which certainly isn't too shabby whatsoever. Empire Knights do drive away Sentinels with Thrown Axes, but they shouldn't be able to catch them, and they are going to get kited back and finished off for good there. Handgunners have been shattered, and likewise these Spearmen are being forced off the battlefield. Malagor and some Warhounds are destroying these Empire Knights, and once more escorting them away. Enticity trying his best to get that bounce power as even as possible, and maybe the Tuskgor summon, he's got a chance, but I don't think there's that many chariots left. We have 2 here. Is that it? Oof, that's really rough, because this is a lot of infantry to get rid of. Sigma Suns are unbreakable as well, so the Jebus just not going to do good drain effect on them in the later stages. Looks like these lads were just saying that good luck, have fun. Man, yeah, the Jabba has some amazing animations. IcePower's flexing for sure. For sure. Yeah, Unbreakable troops are a good counter to the Jabba. Honestly, it feels like IcePower's come really prepared for all of these games. He's been on absolute fire recently, and that's most likely he's been preparing for ECL finals and stuff. Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run are pushing forward now, trying to get some Thrown Axes onto the Empire Knights, give them a little passing shot, and they've done a pretty decent job. I think the Grog Hooves may be seen quite a bit just for the fact they have that regeneration, and Skirmish Cavalry is so popular right now. There'd be a relatively decent counter to them. We have Centaurs trying to wrap around the flanks here. Jebus is pulling its way through the trees, but yeah, you simply send the Sigma Suns at it. Volkmar's not going to be affected by him either, which does cause a lot of problems. The Empire Knights just about half leadership at the moment, so they are holding the line just fine. And another Spirit Leech does go down on the Jebus here. I think the Gorgon is very risky here, but would easily deal with Volkmar the Grim, so it might have been a better option here than the Jebus if you're going to bring a large creature. But Enticity, man, put on such a good scrap here. We are going to see a fat burning head come down the line. Enticity does manage to dodge it for the most part, and actually roast a lot of Empire troops. Jebus trying his best here to drag down those Empire Knights, and a load of the Empire forces actually start running for their lives. Sentinels with Thrown Axes can try to swan and swoop around that Deathcaster. Big Fat Banishment's going to be coming in as well. Malagor tries to engage with Volkmar in hand-to-hand, and we do have the summon Tuskgor. Balance of power just clinging on for the Beastmen right now. Tuskgor Chariots finishing off some Empire Knights who are terrified and running for their lives, but likewise the Jebus has started to fall back. Volkmar's simply going to flee from the Tuskgor, which is 100% how you can do this. It was a nice little attempted push there by Enticity at the end, but IcePower, my god, he is playing out of his skin today, and I think he's going to be claiming this one as well. As soon as that Tuskgor goes, I think army losses probably will kick in. Jebus is bounding away up to 143 kills so far, nearly 1,000 damage value in a suboptimal matchup for it. It's done some good work. Malagor is slapping Volkmar where possible with the help of this Tuskgor, but yeah, Volkmar is a tanky boy, and even with really lucky RNG, I don't think it matters. There's simply too many Empire State troops left alive. Ungors are coming in for a nice little surround, but they're wavering just by the presence of Volkmar, unfortunately. Jebus doesn't quite make it there, and the Empire shall be victorious. Man, that was an awesome game. That was an awesome game. He should have built the Wargoron Chariot. I think we banned them for this best of 7 until they get the hotfix for them. Enticity, awesome game though. Coming in with Malagor the Dark Omen, 830 damage value. He's certainly more competitive than he once was. Tuskgor Chariots both did good. 700 damage value here, 922. This unit was still full health. So I guess they just broke at the end and With probably word damage, but if you have the 3 models, it actually can bump your health up again. Tuskgor really struggled. Centaurs with thrown axes were a mixed bag. The Regiment Renowned did really good. Nearly 1.2k damage value. The other doing well as pretty decent as well with 992. Jabba's Life only 997, but again, up against so many unbreakable troops, it really is a hard counter, and it got absolutely wasted by those handgunners early on, who got some lovely damage value. Empire Knights across the board got some good work done. Volkmar, though, 2.2k is just a bit of a beast. Bit of a beast. GG, well played. You guys want to do an X? I completely butchered Expedition there. But just like showing off new stuff, maybe? Because I believe that is IcePower winning, right? He's up to 4? I want to say, is that 4 games? Am I tripping? Wait. Has he won 4 times? So he won the Empire game. Lizardmen were defeated. He won that last one, and he won with Dark Elves, I want to say. Oh god, my mind has turned to mush. I've been recording so much today. My brain is dead. Yeah, Eldrin, the new Tentacles do seem nice. I love that. I feel like these guys play an entirely different game than me. Select Blob. Click on something for Blob to attack. Feel sad after loss. That is 4, indeed. I'm down. Sure, I'm down. Awesome. Awesome stuff. He has won 4 times. Awesome. Thank you. You guys save me every time. It's game over, man. It's game over. Yeah, it is. IcePower coming out strong, 4-0. But we're going to get them guys to play like an expedition match. Sure, I'm down. Awesome. So I think Enticity might be going Lizardmen here. And IcePower Beastmen. So we can showcase a lot of the new stuff for you guys. Which will be fun. Which will be fun. I'm not going to force guys to the best of 9. Ice has been streaming all day. And I think Enticity's been streaming as well. So I don't want to put too much strain on them. Plus I've got videos to go make, guys. I'm going to be dropping hopefully 2 videos tomorrow. If I can get this one edited in time. And maybe even 2 videos Sunday. Who knows? Who knows? I want to get like a lot out, obviously. Because I finally have the embargo lifted. And I can actually show you guys stuff. Exhibition. That's what we... Oh, I kept saying expedition, didn't I? Oh my god. Yeah, exhibition match. Bloodwrack Medusa was buffed. So now... Right, you know she fires her shots directly like a sniper rifle, right? They go directly into the enemy. It's really cool. But unfortunately, she can't shoot past any unit in the Dark Elf roster because they're too tall. So now if she can see a target but can't shoot it because her missile were going through friendly troops, she now launches it like a mortar shot up in the air and over, which is quite nice. Ancient Salamanders are now cheaper. So it's a nice buff for them, and they have slightly more ammo. So we may see them as well. Oh! Who's picking? I mean... Let's see if Enticity's down for that. I actually think it's a bad matchup now for Lizardmen. Well, maybe not a bad matchup, that may be too strong words. It's just a lot harder because it was obviously a very dominant matchup for Lizardmen before. But honestly, the big Gorgon changes things so much, you have to kite it. I tried going full Air Force against IcePower because I knew exactly what build he was going to bring because he'd used it against me before. And even then, like, it's a nightmare. It can really be a nightmare. New texture on the Sentis is awesome. Yeah, the Regiment Renowned look really cool. Taurox versus Skink. A free-for-all, Alephanar, Oxyotl, and Marcus and Glade Lord. I mean, Marcus and Oxyotl... Oxyotl would dominate, probably, because he can use Snipe and Unspottable and stuff. So Alephanar and Glade Lord would just shoot each other at the start and kind of pull each other out of the game. Then Oxyotl and Marcus would just clean up the rest. But yes, yes. You love Ancient Salamanders? I do as well. I'm very happy they've been buffed slightly. It's always a good time. So, looks like I've been pinned a load. Oh, cool. QQ. Are you allowed Tuskgor chariots? Of course. Seems bugged and damaged. No, the normal chariots aren't. Chariots on Wargors though, or single entities we did ban, yes. What's happening is their splash attacks are all counting as like their first hit almost. So it's doing max damage where it shouldn't do. Splash attacks should spread the damage, but they're not. They have been changed though, because a lot of people are coming and said this on the stream. They are not. They do not be Blood Knights. They do not be Blood Knights 1-on-1 anymore. They did before, but they've been changed. They all lose Blood Knights, but they still do way too much damage. But yeah, me and Ice tested it yesterday, and the Chariot still lost. We may get some small tests in CJ, but I've got stuff to do, I'm afraid. I've got videos to make. And I'm doing some unit testing videos anyway. Yeah, the new caster hero is really cool. He's an expensive investment, so you have to build your build around him a little bit. But yeah, he's very cool indeed. I like the Skink Oracle a lot, and he may be one of the best units to come from the DLC for the Lizardmen side of things. I mean, healing in Lizardmen's always nice anyway. So being able to have Earthblood where it's not on a Slann is pretty cool. No, Nobles used to attack multiple times or something, I think. Maybe that is the reason. Yeah, it might be quite close to Nobles. Jonathan, you might be right there. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same problem, but it's something I'm sure they'll fix pretty easily. What's up, man? Hello to you as well. How are you on this fine day? Yeah, it's only Earthblood for them. No really growth or anything. But Earthblood's still nice. It can certainly be very useful for the Dino Boys, indeed. Quack, Mr. IcePower, how are you? I hope you've been enjoying your games, man. You've been on absolutely fire form so far up against Enticity. Taking him down 4-0 in a best of 7. That's some wild stuff. But last time we saw Enticity play, he took down someone else 4-0. So it's a pretty crazy game right now. But again, the meta's completely shifted. It's going to take a very long time for people to actually figure out what's good, what's bad. There's a lot of experimentation and stuff at the moment. Oh, new map. Aldof's fine. Oh, that's fine. It's okay. I don't want them to have like made their builds and done something wrong with it. What's up, Cat Morgan? How are you, champ? What's the VAD matchup? Oh, and they're bad matchups. Yeah, I think Dwarfs are actually very good against Lizardmen now. But I think, yeah, they're still going to be bad in their bad matchups for the most part, I think, Dwarfs. Chariots are still going to be a big pain for them. So Enticity is bringing a lot of the cool new stuff. Nakai has indeed been changed. He is a considerably amount cheaper, not that much, but like 100 gold cheaper. And his mass has been improved quite a lot, actually. I don't know if it's been doubled, but it's something similar. So hopefully he'll be able to pull through troops quicker. But I'm not sure if that's actually the case. Enticity, kind of a glorious build here. We have Sora Spears, Star Chamber Guardians, double... oh my god, we have the Pale Death. I've never seen this guy in action yet. So we have the Feral Troglodon here, as well as the Skink Oracle Brethren, with Fireball and Earthblood here. Going for a box build, all of this is invisible due to the Spirit of Teapot being brought to the battlefield, which does of course come with Shield of Thorns and lesser banishment. So not quite as good as banishment, but still, yeah, okay. The Kai the Wanderer with Primal Roar will buff up literally everything here, and so will the Pale Death. Oh my god, that's disgusting! That is disgusting. So, we get Primal Roar. This increases your melee attack by 40. Pale Death has a similar ability, which increases by 24. That's going to be wild. Oh, they won't last long, but it'd be cool when it happens. As for the Beastmen, loads of Ungor Raiders in the front line. We do have Centaurs with great weapons, followed up by a load of Chaos Warhounds. We have Razorgore Chariots mixed in with Tuskgor Chariots, so one of each. We have a Brave Shaman of Beasts, a Wargore on foot. We have Torx the Brass Bull bounding towards his enemies, coming in completely naked though. And then we have the Blood Brute Behemoth. One of the reasons this matchup is very tough now for Lizardmen, you cannot take that fight 1v1, but maybe you can with the Pale Death. Now these guys' long range shots will do big damage and they're currently invisible, so Torx cannot see them. And look at that burst damage come in! Look at it! You saw the first one fired one shot, the Skink Oracle fired two. Torx Brass Bull loses about a quarter HP there with just a couple of shots. However, this is the problem with this type of build. Flock of Doom is so powerful now, it catched everything in that entire army. Every single unit got hit, which is really rough. And the Oracles may struggle to actually stay firing here. Razorgore Chariots do get pounded down a little bit. The Spirit of Teapot could come down and engage. It's got some pretty useful abilities. Shield of Thorns could work. The Blood Brute, though, is engaged by the double Oracle and Pale Death with the help of the Star Chamber Guardians buff by Shield of Thorns, but he needs to get in here with Nakai's buff as well as the Pale Death's buff, and he will roast the Blood Brute. Lesser Banishment goes off on those Ungor Spearheads, doing some nice work, but the Saurus Warriors are getting dragged down here. The Teapot Thingamabob, as I'm going to call it, does fly down, some awesome animations, and this is so messy. Pale Death does have Primal Roar popped on it now. The Curse has gone down, lowering all these guys' melee attack, but they're being buffed more, they're being debuffed. And the Blood Brute is doing a good work though. This is such a messy fight now. And it looks like a lot of the infantry for Lizardmen just gets run over by the chariots and mass Centaur charges in. And this is what I've seen happen quite a bit. I don't know if it's possible to box in this build anymore up against the Beastmen. I really don't. I think you have to kite them. It's really rough. The Pale Death is rampaging, but is kept under control once more. These guys really should be falling back and shooting, but you just can't do it because there's nowhere to run. Flock of Doom does come down. We are as well going to be seeing the Primeval Roar buffing up all these guys' melee attack quite nicely. The Blood Brute is just holding on. He's been fighting single entities all day long and dishing out the pain. Although, you know, he's been closed down quite a bit, so he hasn't managed to get that much of his value in. Skink Oracle overcasts Earthblood here, and the Teapot is flying around, the Spirit of Teapot, trying its best, but there's so many Beastmen just running them through. Torx the Brass Bull can actually sometimes lose to Nakai. 9 times out of 10 he wins it, but if Nakai gets lucky, I have seen Torx lose, which is pretty hilarious. The Spirit of Teapot as well as the Skink Oracle are struggling now, and yeah, this is what happens if you go big old box build up against the force of the Beastmen now. You kind of just get run over because the chariots kill your infantry, you then cycle charge all your large creatures, and you can now go toe to toe with the big enemies that you normally would struggle against. Foal comes in, hits the Blood Brute Behemoth, doing some nice work there, but it's going to charge into the fray once more. Then it's going after the big bird, which is trying to fall back desperately. Shield of Thorns has been popped, and the kite has just been an absolute chad. You see he does push through slightly better now. Blood Brute has been broken here, has been dealt with very well, but the problem is Enticity put all of his resources in killing this Finn and trying to shut it down. He only managed to do it at the end of the game because it regenerates up in combat, and the rest of his build just gets killed in the process. And Torx Brass Bull, if he can kill him, maybe we can see like a tear out come down, but it's highly unlikely, I would think. And the Blood Brute Behemoth is running for its life. Tuskgor Chariots can do a little bit of cycle charging here. And it looks like the Lizardmen forces are starting to break. In fact, the Spirit does lose hope at the moment and flee for its life. Skink Oracle and the Kai trying their best up against Torx, but he's rather beastly, even without his big buff, his brass body fin here. And the Kai is just currently vibing, going around, aiming to kill the Blood Brute Behemoth. But that Skink Oracle is just about going to be able to do it there. With an Earthblood coming down, maybe the Kai can carry, who knows? The Skink Oracle, though, I think Enticity is really missing a trick without shooting with this guy, but I suppose it's so tough here because he's simply going to get kited wherever he goes. Unfortunately, Fireball was eaten by the Wargore there instead of Torx the Brass Bull. And in comes the Oracle with some pretty cool attack animations. Torx Brass Bull is getting a little danger low at the moment, but he does punt in the Kai an absolute mile. No, look at the beautiful bird snake. Oh, that is a shame. That is a shame to see that in action. Centaur's looking to come pin in the Skink Oracle and finish it off for good. If he had brought Flock of Doom, I think that might have been the way to go as well. Flock of Doom instead of Fireball, maybe. And this would have been a much better situation because a lot of these troops wouldn't currently be here. But Nakai has been surrounded now. Torx showing him that there's a new monstrous infantry lord in the game. And he is going to carry the day. Yeah, for sure. Troglodons are definitely better at shooting at long range. That's where their damage output is. They've got big damage onto Torx straight away. Though the Pale Death with its extra melee attack can do well. 1.2 damage value on him, only 900 on the Spirit, 1.3 on the Star Chamber Guardians isn't too bad, 1.7 on the Skink Oracle, and 1.5 on the Kai, and considering he's cheaper, he can occasionally pay for himself. As for IcePower, Torx the Brass Bull just absorbed that damage, glorious stuff, 1.8k damage value on him, 761 just from those Flock of Dooms. Wargore didn't do too bad, 850, just getting in there, kind of like a Black Hawk Big Boss, really, that type of unit. The Tuskgor chariots, though, they didn't really have the best targets here because there's not much infantry. 1.4 and 600, 1.4 damage value on the Tuskgors, only 644 on the more expensive Razorgors. Razorgors, you're never going to see them if Tuskgors stay as they are. Centaurs did okay. The big BC got 2,123 damage value despite being focused down by more single entities. He really is a beast here. Lose to the Dread Saurian. The Show of Luster, I should say. I'm not sure he loses to much else as far as single entities go. The Gorgon RR seems pretty damn strong, not gonna lie. Oh yeah, focused down all game in bad engagements and still did good. GG. Yeah, it is a beast in this matchup. And he thinks chat mass changes are big too. They're very big. This it's a really tough matchup for Lizardmen. You can pin them in place, but it is hard. Moo! I see a lot of moos in chat, indeed. Yeah, I got like 2,000 something damage value. I did show it. I did put up on there. What a legendary build. The brightest stars are the most short-lived. It was a cool build. I have done that build a few times, Eldrin. It's not competitive, but it's certainly good fun. GG's. Yeah, awesome games. Thank you for playing. How much mass does Nakai have? It's, I don't know the exact numbers, but it may be doubled. But yeah. We'll have to wait for the patch notes to find out for sure, but yeah, it's improved quite a lot. Yeah, the Gorgon is insane in combat, the regiment right now. But it will lose to gunfire. It's only got like 60 armor and it's a big target. So, peace out, man. So, surprisingly, you're gonna basically have to shoot Beastmen now. Is the way to take Beastmen down, I think. If we look at the Beastmen, they've got some really cool new banners, by the way. Let's go to one of those. The Gorgon's expensive, 2,550, but anti-large causes terror, scaling damage, which is massive. If this spins around in the late game, it'll just start one-shotting characters and heroes. It is quite good, but armor is 50, in fact, so normal one is 50 as well. So only 50 armor, decent HP pool, regenerates, only in combat, though, which is the strength from flesh here. So you do need to be careful with it. They can just get picked apart by mass range, and that's certainly the way to take down Beastmen, I think. The Javelins are good fun as well. Can do some good work, but yeah, can struggle as well. Yes, yes. But yeah, honestly, the Gorgons, yeah, really good. We can try quickly. Let's just give... I'm not going to do too much testing, because I'm going to do this in future videos. But let's just give them, like, a load of... Do you want to try Chameleon Skinks or Chameleon Stalkers? Chameleon Stalkers against it. Yeah, that's what I mean, Tequila. Having to kite Beastmen is not what you want to hear, because they're very fast. So I think Beastmen are going to be very powerful. Not like as powerful as Greenskins were, but very powerful. So we just give them like 5 of those. It's like a basic lord, and I'll just take the Gorgon and another Gorgon, and we'll just see how much damage they can do whilst firing them. And we'll see how that goes. Can 3 Manticores take on the ROR Gorgon? Probably, because single entities ganging up on one single entity tends to go quite well. But it maybe they can't, though, because it's going to be regenerating. Just want to see how much damage these guys do on the approach. Let's just send in 1 and see how much damage it does. Waddle forward. So we have 8,166 HP. Let's move forward just in the direction of this red-crested skink chief, where I assume his allies are. I don't think the PC have actually Vanguard's troops. Bloodbrute does look really cool as well. He's got a corn feel about him for sure. So let's just push forward. Reveal yourselves! Reveal, I said. I feel like the Chameleon Stalkers may be okay in this matchup. So let's see what happens when they shoot us. Bam, bam, bam. Like, they do good work, yeah. They can certainly damage it for sure. But I mean, range in general can. But he's just going to heal up. This is kind of the problem. He heals up quite quickly, but yeah, those Stalkers, man. They can give the Bloodbrute a beating. They're down to about half health, and they've not even all used up their ammunition yet. But again, getting this type of engagement is going to be really hard. It's not like the enemy's just going to waddle into you with the Bloodbrute when they see a load of Chameleon Stalkers. But they can indeed do good burst damage here up against it. But even with all these units, he's still not doing that badly. If his leadership held, I feel like our Lord over here stuff, he'd probably clean up all of these troops and regenerate most of that HP. Which is a little bit scary. Yeah, we can very quickly try the Gorgon versus Necrosphinx. Yeah, we can try that. So yeah, the Chameleon Stalkers may have a niche up against Beastmen. There's a chance. I think people with good micro might be able to get good work from the Chameleon Stalkers. But apart from what I've seen, they tend to struggle. So let's get Tomb Kings. Boo, 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 boo. Check on a chariot, so hopefully we can distract the enemy commander. And we'll just give them a Tomb Prince or Tomb King on foot. And we're getting the Necrosphinx going. So Necrosphinx has been known to be a bit of a beast. To take down single entity monsters. It does lose to the Dreadsaurian. Dreadsaurian beats anything. It also beats the Gorgon. So nothing tops the Shred of Lustria yet. We'll have to wait and see. So let's try and distract their Lord. And get the Bloodbrute going in. I would think, because of the healing, the Bloodbrute's probably going to win. And its healing doesn't give it a weakness to fire either. Because it's through devouring their flesh, not by regen. No! Tomb King, come back here! Don't make me attack you. But yeah, he's been knocked down, and that can be a problem for these beasties. They can get knocked down. But they do get up again. And, yeah. Yeah! My god! Okay, the stagger animation might be the only thing here. I can't get rid of this blooming Tomb King, annoyingly. But even with the staggering, the Bloodbrute is just beating down the Sphinx bad. Oh my god. Look at that HP loss! Even with this pesky little Tomb King attacking us as well, which is a Lord, by the way. He has like decent stats. The Bloodbrute does get staggered a fair amount, but even with that, I mean, it might need to be staggered, because it is slaughtering this Sphinx right here. Even with the Tomb King here, yeah, that Sphinx is just dying. It's dying so quickly. It does hit over the beam off more than the beam off hits over it, because it's kind of like a giant model, right? But it has the advantage of having regen here. Get you away from there. Yeah, he wins comfortably. Particularly with the regen, he can maybe go up to about half health. I mean, oh no, actually, his leadership's wavering a little bit. But again, being attacked by a Tomb King, it doesn't help that much at all. The good thing about the Sphinx is it's unbreakable, so it's going to keep fighting to the bitter end. Let's try not to attack it with our little boy here. But yeah, it can't handle the beast. If this Tomb King wasn't here, this would be much more one-sided, I think. But yeah, the Blood Brute does the butcher's work, gets the job done. So it does win. And it gets a lot of damage value in the process. If it wasn't for this Tomb King, I think we probably end up with about a quarter health, maybe. Roughly something along those lines. But yeah, it does good work. The Sphinx does alright against it, though. But the Sphinx is also designed to kill, like, Gorgons and that type of thing. But yeah, Beastmen versus Tomb Kings. It's probably a lot better for Beastmen than it used to be. You can get into that back line really easily. You don't want to bring the Blood Brute against Tomb Kings, though, normally. Because it's just going to get shot by your Shopty, like, on the approach. But look how much damage it does. Oh, that scaling damage is so good as well. So good. It can just take down a Tomb King like it's nothing. Nothing. Bam. Down it goes. Yeah, the Blood Brute Behemoth is going to be quite meta in some matchups, but mainly ones where you can't shoot it. 50 armor really is not a lot. Like, you're not going to see this thing against Dwarfs, for example. Yeah, just a couple of units. 2 to 3 gunners. Yeah. That's what I mean by a gun line, though. Yeah, Beastmen are weird to face. But again, we haven't really had much time on the game, and we don't know how it's going to play out. But at the moment, it seems like you have to kite Beastmen, which is very odd. Like, often, you're... Like, even if you see, like, a Taurox or a Doombull. Doomball's got a really cool model, by the way. So even if you saw, like, Taurox, something like this, you're only really going to see, like... I mean, maybe you could upgrade these guys to have shields, actually. So... Okay, a little bit of infantry, a couple of Tuskgor chariots, and honestly, this is a decent like base for whatever you want to do realistically. And if you're against factions which don't have any guns, you just add in one of these. If you want to go wider, you certainly can as well. But it's just they've got so many more options now, which I really enjoy seeing. Doomballs are very cool. They have a Slaughter Call, they have Deadly Onslaught, but also Barbed Knuckle Boxing, which increases their melee attack considerably, armor piercing, base weapon damage, which is nice. Their items aren't fantastic, to be honest, Potion of Full Hardness and a Hellfire Sword, but their melee attacks give dazed, lowering melee defense and speed of anything they hit. That is really tasty. They're very cheap as well. If you take out like all their abilities, only 1,250 gold. I think we're going to be seeing them quite often, hopefully. Yeah, could be tough against Beastmen now. A lot of factions that were good against Beastmen may well struggle. Vampire Counts, all the undead in fact. Yeah, the Doomball punching animations are really funny. They're really funny for sure. But anyway guys, I think that's going to be it for me today. I need to go cook some food and do some more glorious videos for you guys. There shall be a couple out tomorrow. I believe a game against me and Darv plays, which was certainly good fun to play. So, hope you guys enjoyed that one. Well played to IcePower and Enticity for putting on a good show, and IcePower in particular for coming out like an absolute war god there and doing some really good work. Before you guys go, if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a big old fat thumbs up underneath the video. Feel free to subscribe as well for more content and all that good stuff. I'm going to send you guys over to Logic, who is currently streaming a tournament action. So if you've not had enough Warhammer action, please do go over here and yell quack at him as much as possible. I'll drop a little link to you guys there. But yeah, that was some good fun. Good fun indeed. Yeah, Gorgons counter single entity monsters and Grind is countered by Javis Lives. I agree. And those two monsters have helped them out a ton. But feel free to go over to Logic here. Please yell quack at him as much as possible. And I hope you guys enjoyed. It looks like my live stream was actually bugged. It was telling me there was only like 30-something viewers the entire... almost 50 viewers the whole time. But it looks like we've actually got kind of like 130 going right now, which is cool. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, we'll probably do a live stream on Monday. But until then, peace, and as always, stay awesome.